The Daily Beast's Roger Sullenberger with a bombshell report. Apparently, a former male staffer for Herschel Walker's Senate campaign has accused Republican Matt Schlapp of sexual harassment and groping. So let's get into the details here. Okay. So now, that staffer described Schlapp as giving him a sustained and unwanted and unsolicited sexual contact while he was allegedly driving Schlapp back from an Atlanta bar back in October. So let me say this, right? If this is true, this kind of fits with a history of allegations against Matt Schlapp. Okay, so I wouldn't exactly be surprised if this is the case. And by the way, the staffer seems to have some receipts. So, with that, more details. Now, the staffer said that the incident had occurred on the night of October 19th, when Schlapp, chair of the American Conservative Union and the lead organizer for the influential Conservative Political Action Committee, had both allegedly, quote, groped and fondled his crotch in his car against his will after buying him drinks at two different bars. The staffer described Schlapp, who had traveled to Georgia for a Walker campaign event, as inappropriately and repeatedly intruding into his personal space at the bars, and then, of course, in the car, going back to the hotel room, escalated quite a bit. So, maybe it's a little too late to warn you all, but anybody who is, I guess, triggered by sexual assault, you know, content warning. Okay. So, more details. The staffer also said that he was keenly aware of his power dynamic with Schlapp, widely regarded as one of the most influential figures in national conservative politics. So I think that's really important to mention, right? There is a power dynamic. When you have so much influence, when you have so much power, especially, anywhere really in politics, but we're talking about conservative politics here. Yeah, a lot of predators, when they have that power, they do feel comfortable enough to do this openly. And they also know that because of that power dynamic, a lot of the victims won't necessarily speak out. They'll be afraid to do so. And of course, this staffer is absolutely afraid, mainly because of his career in Republican politics. And so now, that said, the Daily Beast noted that they were withholding the staffer's name at his request, citing concerns of drawing attention to himself while embarking on his first weeks in a new job in Republican politics. Now, look, I know maybe some of your reaction is like, okay, he's in Republican politics, whatever. He decided he's not going to come out publicly. Well, okay, sure. Like, all right. And he cares more about his job. Well, look, I don't care about his politics. I don't care about his job. He's still a victim. That's what's important here. And he did say that he would come forward if Schlapp denied his claims, which, of course, he's going to come out and, well, deny the claims. But we'll get to that. But we continue with the allegations. Schlapp, the staffer recalled, said that he'd wanted to spend the evening discussing the staffer's professional future. Quote, it was a public space, and I was thinking that he got the hint. I did not want to embarrass him, but it escalated. So now, after the two bars, he drove Schlapp back to his hotel. And then, of course, that's when the alleged fondling had happened. And then when they arrived at the hotel, the staffer said that Schlapp had invited him to his hotel room. The staffer declined and left as quickly as he could. He then, the next morning, informed the Walker campaign about what had happened. So that's actually also part of the receipts, because they spoke to the Walker campaign, and there was a staffer that said, yes, we were aware of these complaints, but we'll get to what they did in response. So now, the receipts. So there are some call logs that this staffer had shared with the Daily Beast, And there were even a couple of videos that were recorded by the staffer detailing in his own words what had happened. And again, those have not been released to the public because right now this staffer is staying anonymous. Okay. So now Schlapp, according to the call logs, had called the staffer after he had returned home. This is slightly after midnight, and spoke to him in a short conversation, after which this staffer then agreed to drive him to another campaign event, even after what had happened. However, right after the call, the staffer had broken down and recorded a series of videos detailing that evening, which again he had shared with the publication, as well as two people close to him, including the staffer's wife. In the video, he's alleged to have said, quote, "What is wrong with me? This is okay to happen? I don't know what I did. It's very sad that this is okay." Now, look, that response, it's a trauma response. What did I do to invite this? What did I do to make this happen? Was I not careful enough? Was I not expressive enough that I wasn't interested? That seems like a normal trauma response to me. Okay? And so more quotes here from the videos. Matt Schlapp of the CPAC grabbed my junk and pummeled it at length. I'm not sure I would use that description, but ouch. And I'm sitting there thinking, what the hell is going on? That this person is literally doing this to me. From the bar to the Hilton Garden Inn, he has his hands on me, and I feel so effing dirty. I feel so effing dirty. I'm supposed to pick this MFer up in the morning and just pretend like nothing happened? This is what I'm dealing with. This is what I got to do. Now, again, you listen to that trauma response. And I think that response adds a lot of credibility to the story. Considering, of course, again, the power imbalance, the fact that it's a male Republican wanting to be in Republican politics and dealing with somebody who has that much influence and power, I think that if he had lied about this, that would be absolutely career ending. You don't see stuff like this happen. Coming out and accusing Matt Schlapp of sexual assault is career ending. And so, of course, you have to have evidence. So now the staffer's communications with the campaign the next day, along with further exchanges with Schlapp, were documented in these call logs and text messages, which the staffer had shared with the Daily Beast. At 7:26 a.m., for example, Schlapp sent a text saying, "I'm in the lobby." A minute later, the staffer called a supervisor, followed by a call with the senior campaign official for the Walker campaign. The staffer said the senior official was, quote, "immediately horrified," and pulled him off driving duty, instructing him to tell Schlapp in writing that he had made him uncomfortable. Right after that call, the staffer sent Schlapp a text. He said, "I did want to say that I was uncomfortable with what happened last night. The campaign does have a driver who is available to get you to Macon and back to the airport." He texted, providing the name and phone number of the driver. "Please give me a call," Schlapp replied, followed by "thanks." Schlapp then called him 3 times for the next 20 minutes, according to phone records reviewed by the Daily Beast. When the staffer did not answer or return the calls, Schlapp sent another text asking him to, quote, "look in your heart. If you could see it in your heart to call me at the end of the day, I would appreciate it." Schlapp texted at 12:12 p.m. "If not, I wish you luck on the campaign and hope you keep up the good work." The staffer said he never called and has not had any communication with Schlapp since that text. Now, the campaign also said that Schlapp did not follow up on getting the replacement driver that was offered to him. Now, in interviews, also, and by the way, this actually speaks positively to Herschel Walker's campaign staff, which is, as I've talked about in other videos, that staff, that campaign was a mess, dealing with all of Herschel Walker's insanity, and also saying, we got to get a handle on this stuff. Well, in this case, The staffer says, and he was emphatic, that throughout the ordeal, he felt nothing but support from Walker campaign officials. Although Walker, of course, we don't know if he knew about this. Then again, when it comes to Herschel Walker, does Herschel Walker even know what's going on? Did he even know who was who, what was what? And so we just don't know if he had known about this. That said, he said of the campaign officials that he had never felt pressure and was given complete autonomy over how to move forward. The options included legal, and therapeutic support, and even pressing charges. So, look, that's actually a pretty positive response. And you kind of gotta, I hate to hand it to them, but I think that's sort of the correct response. Like, oh my God, this happened to you. First of all, we believe that it happened, and that says something about Matt Schlapp, and his, reputation. But it also says, like, hey, look, we support you. We've got your back. Here are the options. We can help you out. Just let us know what you need. And the guy understandably says, I just need to figure this out on my own. I need to know what to do. Okay. And so that's interesting, right? Now, the staffer ultimately declined to take legal action at the time, telling the Daily Beast that he was just concerned that speaking out about Schlapp could carry professional consequences and endanger career advancement. Again, before you come at me with like, oh, but it's careerism, understand that this is also the very same reason why there's a lot of professional women that don't speak out about this as well. Because they also fear, understandably so, consequences for their careers, their entire livelihoods. So I think this is totally understandable from this person's side. And so he also said that he felt going public at the time would only further aggravate what he described as the circus of scandals surrounding Walker's campaign just weeks out from the election. However, he said he is still weighing his options. Okay. Now, especially he said if Schlapp denies the allegations and does not step down from his post at the ACU. So what he is calling for is Schlapp, he just can't be in that position of power anymore. He should just go. He should just go. A senior Walker official authorized to speak on behalf of the campaign confirmed the details of the campaign's involvement, as the staffer described it, noting that the campaign had initiated a meeting between the staffer and legal counsel. So now, Katie Emily in the chat asked, by the way, it was the right response for the campaign, but I question if their response would have been different had the victim had been a female. I think that is a fair question. That is absolutely a fair question because, again, this is, yes, male sexual assault is heavily stigmatized, right? I would say incredibly stigmatized. But also, given how they are conservatives, would they have taken female sexual assault seriously? And so I think that is absolutely a fair question on this. And so that said, let me give you a statement here from Schlapp's attorney. This is Charlie Spies. He called the allegations, quote, an attack and said Schlapp denies any improper behavior. This is coming from, again, the party that supported someone for president who had said if you're famous, they let you do whatever you want. So, and again, this is Turning Point USA. I mean, in the American Conservative Union, they supported Donald Trump very emphatically, after all. And so, oh no, we don't support anybody who does improper behavior except for Donald Trump, except for people that have power. They also continued by saying, quote, "This appears to now be the 12th daily piece on personal attacks on Matt Schlapp and his family." Look, so, okay. For one, if it were just allegations of Matt Schlapp being gay, then it wouldn't be a problem. Because I don't care. We don't care if somebody's gay. But this is assault. This is sexual assault. This is very serious. And it doesn't matter, again, if the victim is male, female, etc. This is sexual assault. This is wrong. Using their massive, the massive amount of power and influence they have in the conservative movement to basically scare people. It doesn't even have to be a threat. The threat is bringing this up, going public, and then that person and their lawyers and their organization basically saying that person's a liar. Didn't never happen. Never happened. So, now, he also said, "We are evaluating legal options for the response." So, gay does not equal assailant, not the same thing at all. Exactly. That was my point. So, now, as far as a response here, why would you have a legal response for posting what seem to be credible allegations made by a former staffer? So it looks like Schlapp's lawyers are taking the risk that their power and their influence inside the conservative movement is great enough for this person, this staffer, to not come forward publicly because they would be afraid of that backlash. And so whether or not, and this has to weigh very, very heavily on the staffer's mind of like, do I basically completely torpedo any career that I have in Republican politics, as well as open myself up to death threats and, legal threats and any of this stuff that could come along with me going public against such a powerful figure? Or do I keep this to myself and go along to get along, even with what, had happened to me and how traumatic it was? And so that is the calculation that he has to make in his own mind of how he's going to proceed. And it is very interesting to see that, to see if the staffer does indeed come forward and come out publicly. I mean, we did see that going back to the Herschel Walker campaign. These women that were alleging, these things about Herschel Walker, the abortions, all that stuff, the paying for the abortions, first went to the Daily Beast anonymously, and then later on, with all the denials from the Walker campaign, had come out publicly. And this is very likely also probably the reason that they had that the staffer reached out to the Daily Beast, because they know that all the stuff in the Herschel Walker campaign was absolutely true, and that the Daily Beast was actually doing good reporting. So, yeah, I think all of this makes sense, and I think he's got a very, very credible case, but again, has to make the determination whether or not he wants to actually come forward and, again, destroy his career. So I hope he does the right thing, and so that no one else could be allegedly victimized by Matt Schlapp.